All right, welcome back. Um, if you have not seen the video I just made working on this panel, I am definitely suffering from a cold at the moment, so I apologize in advance if I sniffle or more likely my brain shuts down from fatigue. The older I get, the worse that type of thing gets. Um, what I'm going to do in this video is a patch. So I realized last night when I picked this page back up that this head is just too big. It was drawn really well, but proportionally, it's just not what I want for Clint. Um, and it makes him just seem smaller in this whole. Like, I measured it out, and I'm pretty sure it is almost 8. He's almost 8 heads tall, like 7 3/4 maybe. But it just isn't quite doing the task I want it to. So the options I have to fix it, the first thing I thought of doing was to scan it in Photoshop and just shrink it down and adjust in Photoshop. But I also am not super fond of the way his mouth looks in this picture, even though the rest of it's pretty well drawn. So I'm going to go with option 2, which is to do the patch. Option 3 would be to white it out and then draw on top of the white out, but that absolutely destroys it. And patching lets me try some things without completely obliterating the original. So, what this is a piece of sketchbook paper. It's 60 pound, so it's thin enough that I can see through it, but thick enough that um, it'll cover this pretty well. I don't know if you can even see it on, oh, here, I'll turn on my light box, that might help. There we go. So, first thing is to make some reference marks, because inevitably this is going to move, and I need to know where it goes relative to the page. So I think his collarbones are going to be in the right spot proportionally. His shoulders, I think his neck is a little too big. Face is in the right position. I'm going to narrow it. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. Got a piece of glue or something stuck here. Eyeballs down, top of his head just a little bit lower. Because this is a bit of an upshot, I like to put a bit more curve on the root, top of the crown. Ears. So the ears are going to be slightly lower because of that upshot. Okay. Let's see what we got. Nose. I messed with his mouth for quite a while yesterday before I started inking it, and like I want it to be kind of cheesy, but it just, I don't know, it feels wrong. It's a little overly cheesy, and that's a hard thing to accomplish in a drawing because it's it's all line weight. I mean, sometimes it's just plain guesswork, trial and error, and I did not get it there. Let's see. It's hairline. Eyeballs. Just come down a little bit. All right. Since he's smiling, his nose is going to be a bit more flared. Clint has these lines that descend from his eyes to give him a little bit more of a rugged look, and then they wrap around the base of his chin. All right. Now, I can give him a more closed mouth smile, which this line's kind of high anyway, so do I want just teeth? From this angle, does his lip curl up? Do I want a little, I don't know, the gap I think is what's throwing me off. So, do I want it to be a little more crooked? A little Harrison Ford action going on there. Let's see, incisor. Drawing teeth is very much about picking the right details. I mean, I guess that applies to basically all of it, but you know, with Clint's features, I try to go for this classic, well, like Harrison Ford in a way, classic, rugged, handsome, a nice balance of lines, but not too many. You know, I drew his eyes way too damn small when I first started drawing them, and they just look beady to me now. So it's kind of like, oh God, don't do that again. And it's also a balance of getting this line right here on his eyelid right, because if it's too far down, he looks sad. If it's too far up, he looks surprised. So if he's smiling, that means the lower lid is up. Let's see, cheeks. As a hint, smiling is all in the eyes. Like, that's really where it lives. So if you're getting your photo taken or whatnot, and you feel like you can't get that look right, and you're trying to be like, oh, I'm really happy, even though I don't look like it, squint your eyes. Not a lot. Push those lower lids up. That's where it is. All of a sudden, you look like you're really happy about it. All right, these pencils are super rough, so I'm going to have to pay some extra attention while I'm inking. But, you know, this is a patch, so let's see. Okay, if you can't see it in the video, the right here, this eye is way too high, so I'm going to bring that back down. It's his left eye. I've mentioned it before, but my vision is pretty heavily skewed, so I flip things over and look at the back sides a lot. That's why I have the light box predominantly. So it's still better. At this angle, so like when I'm drawing his eye, he has a more slender shape. So when I'm having him smile, I'll actually typically curve the lower lid up. And then, like, here's the cheek, and then this is like the bulk of the lower lid here. Something like that, which is a little bit more round than what I've got here. Okay. But it's just, it's one of those instances where it's a hairbreadth difference between one emotion and another. And there are days when I wish that I was more prone to drawing in a much more cartoony style with bigger, wider, exaggerated features that allow me to not have to be so nuanced and careful sometimes, because the shit gets tiring. Alright, nose. Because these are so rough, you'll see me bounce back and forth between features and try and keep things in balance. And this is also going to be an instance where I'm really putting some focus on the lighting, because it makes a big difference in how these lines appear. Now for the scary bit. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's real wet now. Alright, definitely gonna have to let that dry before I try and draw over it. happy with that. All right, we can do this. It'll be fine. We'll get it. Worst case scenario, I gotta start over again. Okay, mouth. This cheek might be a little too far out. Okay, I think this is dry enough. Now I just want to make sure I don't go back and do the same mistake I did that I just whited out. All right, I think that's a little better. Now, on the original, I really liked the way I did his hair, which is, less important, but it's still important. So I'm going to try and capture that again, which is usually a disaster. Just getting the gist of it. All right, that'll work. And this is too high. It's cold. It's the older I get, the more it just zaps my energy instead of like, anytime I get a cold, it's like I get a little congested or whatever, but mostly I just am exhausted. And that is where I am at right now. Get some eyebrow furl in there. once I actually paste this down, a lot of times I'll do some tweaks and touch-ups and whatnot, so, you know, I'm not super worried about all of it right now. Not to mention, because this sketchbook paper that I'm working on has a little more tooth to it than my Bristol does, it's more likely to kind of roughen up the edges of the brush line and just, you know, it just looks different a little bit. Nothing super noticeable, but you know, I notice it. So sometimes I gotta tweak it a bit more once it's pasted down just to get it to balance out a bit. All right, this little cleft. All right, I think I want to stop here with the drawing and double check it's dry, because it's annoying as hell when I start erasing and it smears. I forgot to get my scissors, so I'm going to double check this and go grab my scissors. All right, well, that's where I positioned it originally. Probably going to adjust it slightly. Sometimes I use an X-Acto knife, depending on what I need to do, how precise I need to be. I'll be right back. But I don't like using an X-Acto knife because sometimes that will cut through and nick the page underneath. Ooh, I just barely missed that. Okay. think I'm going to tighten this up. Which side do I want to go on? Yeah, I'll go on the upside of the collarbone. I just barely got that outline in there. So I mean, it's no big deal. If I missed it, I can white it out. I might go up a little bit more here. Or I might just paint over. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. And then... Alright, so this little trick I got from Sean Murphy's Instagram, which I mean the patching, old patching thing I got from his Instagram, but masking tape, flip it over so it stays in good position, and good old Elmo's glue. We used to call it Elmo's glue when I was a kid. Alright. The tricky bit about this is you don't want to put on too much, because I did that the first time and it was just so crinkly. But then smear it around as evenly and thinly as you can and get it as close to the edges as you can, because it will curl, but if you get it close to the edge, and I try not to do what I just did, which was to get it on the bristle itself, on the outside of the patch, because it makes a waterproof barrier and you can't really draw on top of it anymore. At least not well. Okay, that might be a touch too much. Yeah. Just gently. Kind of roll it out from the center. And still, yeah, it's still curling just a bit. Still have a bit on my finger. It's not quite dry, so I'll stick that there. Okay. And make sure you get the little corners and things, because they'll catch on your ruler or whatever if you're using it still. Okay, that will do. And I didn't bring my rules, so I'll be right back again. Now, I can go ahead and patch in these lines for the borders, being careful with these edges where the paper hits, because those will usually not want to ink. That's a nasty tangent. So I'm going to think I'm going to go this way. And then I'll white that out in a minute. Okay. I'm not going to do this border because I have another plan for it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to. I'm going to go ahead and probably white that out completely because this panel was supposed to be separate from this panel, and now where are we at? Let me put you in camera. This panel was supposed to be separate from this panel, and it just, I don't know, it's not quite working like I had intended, so I might try something different. Okay. Trim the collarbone, but it's still there. This is still pretty wet. And it's warping. You gotta give it a few minutes for it to, completely dry. It'll be all right. I kind of screwed myself with the collarbone here because that seam is right on top of it. Oh shit, I smeared that, didn't I? All right. Sometimes that little bit of a smear, especially with the India ink, will kind of come back up a little bit if I erase it, but not so much today. Okay, let me grab the correct pen because whiting things out with a black pen doesn't work. It's still wet. This is definitely warping a bunch. Oops. Holy crap. That's new. Okay, don't do that. I just put a circle right in his forehead. I don't know if you can see that, or in his nose. We can fix it. That's what Photoshop is for. So, I'll be real honest and say I'm not sure this is necessarily a better drawing of a head, but it is definitely more in proportion. And it gets the vibe of what I'm aiming at better. And that, some days that's what you got to go for. Sometimes it's not about making a good drawing, it's about making a good feeling of a drawing. I'm not really an illustrator per se, I am a cartoonist, and it's my job to make my reader feel something. All right. This one went real long, so I'm going to end it there. I got some other things I want to fix. This deltoid is messed up. So, anyway, that's how you patch. It's a lot of work. It's not as easy as it sounds. But there's some definite upsides to it. And, thanks for riding along.